There's something about the night that awakens the deepest questions inside you. The moment you lay your head on the pillow, the conversations of the day may have ended, but the conversation within you begins. Your heart whispers thoughts you ignored. Your mind replays mistakes your spirit searches for peace. And that's why prayer at night isn't just a ritual, it's a lifeline. It's the bridge between your restless soul and the God who never sleeps. Tonight, I want to guide you into that space where Scripture breathes into your night, where prayer becomes more than words. It becomes rest for your very soul. Think of David in the Psalms. He was hunted, betrayed, surrounded by enemies, yet he prayed in the night. In Psalm 63, he says, "On my bed I remember you. I think of you through the watches of the night." Imagine that when others would toss and turn with anxiety, David turned his sleepless moments into communion. That's why he could also declare in Psalm 4:8, "In peace I will lie down and sleep for you alone. Lord, make me dwell in safety." Notice the paradox. Danger outside, but peace inside. What changed his circumstances didn't. His perspective did. He wasn't lying in bed alone. He was lying down under the watchful gaze of God. And maybe that's exactly where you are tonight. You're not chased by armies, but you might be chased by thoughts that won't leave you. Regrets about a word you spoke. Fear about what tomorrow holds. The ache of a relationship that feels broken. The exhaustion of working all day and still feeling like it's never enough. That's your battlefield. And yet the invitation of Scripture is the same, to lay down not only your body, but also your burdens. Night prayer isn't about pretending the problems aren't real. It's about handing them over to the one who holds the night in his hands. Let me tell you a story. A young woman once shared that every night she felt tormented by worry. She would replay conversations at work, wonder if people misunderstood her, imagine worst-case scenarios for tomorrow. Sleep became torture. Then, one evening, she read the words of Philippians 4:6-7. "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving present your requests to God." That night, instead of spiraling, she whispered, "God, I give you this fear. I thank you that you're bigger than my tomorrow." Slowly, night after night, her prayer shifted her heart. The problems didn't vanish, but she did. She disappeared into peace, and peace began to meet her before sleep did. This is what prayer can do. It transforms your bed from a battlefield into an altar. You may think prayer is something formal, something you need the perfect words for. But night prayer is different. It's the language of surrender. Sometimes it's just a sigh, a whisper, a tear falling silently on the pillow. God doesn't measure your eloquence. He measures your trust. And sometimes the most powerful night prayer is 3 words: "Lord, I'm yours." The Bible is full of people who encountered God at night. Think of Jacob, who wrestled with the angel until dawn and came out with a limp and a blessing. Think of Samuel, the boy who heard God's voice in the stillness of the night and learned to say, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." Night is often when God speaks the loudest, not because he wasn't speaking before, but because finally, you are still enough to listen. So tonight, when you pray, don't rush. Don't treat it as a quick box to check before bed. Linger. Let your heart wander into gratitude. Thank him for the breath in your lungs, for the shelter over your head, for the unseen mercies that carried you through the day. Then let your fears surface, not to obsess over them, but to release them. Say, God, I can't carry this into my sleep. I place it in your hands. That act, that choice, is what unlocks the peace. David spoke of the kind that lets you lie down in safety, even when tomorrow is uncertain. And here's a practical thing you can try. Keep a small notebook by your bed. Before you pray, jot down the things that trouble you. Write them honestly, your fears, your unfinished tasks, your relationships. Then, after you write them, pray over them and close the notebook. Physically closing it becomes symbolic of handing them over to God. It's no longer yours to carry into your dreams. It belongs to Him now. You'll be surprised how powerful that simple act can be. When you think about prayer at night, you may wonder, why does it matter so much what you do before bed? Isn't prayer the same in the morning, in the afternoon, in the middle of the day? Yes, prayer is powerful in every moment, but nighttime prayer carries a unique weight. Because night is when you are most vulnerable. It's when the armor you wear during the day comes off. At work, you hold yourself together. Around friends, you smile, even when you're breaking inside. In the daylight, you push forward, you stay busy, you distract yourself. But at night, when you lie down, there's no one left to impress, no mask to wear. It's just you and God. That's why the enemy loves to whisper in the night, because he knows you're unguarded. But that's also why God loves to meet you in the night, because He knows you're finally real. The Bible often highlights how God shows up in darkness. Genesis tells us that in the very beginning, when the earth was formless and void, darkness covered the deep. And it was there in the dark that God spoke, "Let there be light." Darkness is not God's enemy. It is His canvas. When you bring your night to Him, you're handing over the blank space of your soul, and He can create peace where chaos once ruled. That's why Psalm 91 says, "You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day." Notice that night has its own unique terror, and God has His own unique promise for it. Maybe you've felt that terror. Maybe you've woken up at 2 a.m. with your heart racing, your mind clouded, and a sense of dread you can't explain. You know what it's like to feel heavy in the night. But here's the truth. Those moments can become holy encounters if you choose to invite God in. Instead of scrolling on your phone, instead of trying to distract yourself, what if you whispered a verse? What if you said, "Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me"? Suddenly, that verse is no longer theory. It's survival. It becomes the rope you hold onto in the storm. Let me give you a picture. Centuries ago, in the early church, believers often gathered in secret because of persecution. They met at night underground by candlelight because they couldn't worship openly during the day. Night became their sanctuary. They prayed in whispers, sang hymns quietly, so soldiers wouldn't hear. And yet those fragile moments birthed the strongest faith the world has ever known. Imagine them trembling in the dark, yet lifting their hearts with unshakable confidence. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Their night prayers were not empty rituals. They were lifelines that gave them courage to face another day. And the same Spirit that strengthened them is with you tonight. Night prayer also reshapes how you carry your relationships. Think about how many arguments, misunderstandings, and regrets you replay in your head before sleep. You lie there thinking, "Why did I say that? Why did she treat me that way? What if he never forgives me?" These thoughts can poison your rest. But prayer becomes the antidote. When you say, Lord, I release this person to you. I forgive them. Heal the part of me that's wounded. You're not just doing something spiritual, you're detoxing your soul. Forgiveness at night is like washing your heart clean before you sleep, so you don't wake up bitter. That's why Ephesians 4:26 says, "Do not let the sun go down while you are still angry." God knows unresolved anger festers in the night. Prayer sets you free from it. And prayer doesn't just cleanse your emotions, it sets the tone for your work and responsibilities. Imagine the difference between falling asleep, consumed with tomorrow's deadlines, versus falling asleep after saying, "Lord, I give you my plans. Guide me, strengthen me, let your will be done." When you pray like that, you're not escaping responsibility, you're aligning it. You're saying, "I will work, but I will not carry the weight of being God in my own life." That shift is everything. It means you'll wake up refreshed, not drained before the day even begins. Here's a story closer to our time. A man who had struggled with sleeplessness for years once told me that his breakthrough came the night he decided to sing instead of worry. He would hum hymns quietly in bed, even songs he hadn't sung since childhood. "Great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see." At first it felt awkward, but slowly the melody carried him into peace. Soon, sleep came easier. He said, "I realized my bed had become my chapel, and my sleepless nights had become worship services." That's what night prayer can do. It transforms your weakness into worship. Tonight, as you prepare to rest, imagine God sitting by your bedside. He isn't distant. He doesn't clock out when you lie down. The God who spoke galaxies into being is attentive to your sighs. The Jesus who calmed the storm is listening to the storm in your chest. The Spirit who hovered over the deep hovers over your night. You don't need perfect prayers. You need honest ones. That's enough to invite peace. That's enough to sleep in safety. When you think about the long nights of your life, you might remember not only the sleepless ones, but also the nights of decision, the nights of trial, the nights when everything seemed uncertain. The Bible is full of those nights, and every single one of them teaches us that what you do in the dark determines the light you will walk into the next morning. Think of Daniel, a man whose faith was tested not in daylight, but in the darkness of the lion's den. The decree had been signed: anyone who prayed to God instead of the king would be thrown into death. And what did Daniel do? He went to his room, opened his windows toward Jerusalem, and prayed 3 times a day, as he always had. He knew the cost. He knew the danger. Yet when the night came, and he was lowered into that pit, surrounded by hungry lions, Daniel didn't fight. He didn't scream. He rested in prayer. And that night, God shut the mouths of the lions. Notice something: the miracle didn't come before Daniel prayed. It came in the night while he was surrounded by what could have devoured him. Your night may feel like a den of lions, fear, anxiety, pressure, but prayer can make even that place a sanctuary. Or think of Jesus on the night he was betrayed. In the Garden of Gethsemane, while his disciples fell asleep, he stayed awake. The weight of the world pressed on his shoulders. He knew the cross was ahead. And what did he do? He prayed, "Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Yet not my will, but yours be done." That was a night soaked in agony, sweat like drops of blood falling from his brow. But it was also the night of surrender, the night that prepared him for the victory of the cross. If even Jesus turned to prayer in his darkest night, how much more do you need to? Your garden may not have olive trees, but it has shadows of your own fears. And yet, like him, you can whisper, "Not my will, but yours." That prayer can carry you through what seems unbearable. Night prayer is not always about asking God to remove the storm. It's about finding Him in the middle of it. It's about recognizing that peace is not the absence of trouble, but the presence of Christ. That's why so many believers throughout history have clung to prayer in their darkest hours. In World War II, a group of Christians imprisoned in a camp wrote prayers on scraps of paper and whispered them under their breath as guards passed by. They had no freedom, no comfort, no guarantee of survival. But they had prayer, and prayer gave them dignity in a place designed to strip it away. Prayer gave them hope when the world offered none. Night after night, their whispered petitions became songs of defiance against despair. And maybe that's exactly where you are right now. Maybe you feel trapped in a situation you can't change. Maybe you're waiting for a diagnosis. Maybe your marriage feels fragile. Maybe you've been carrying guilt that won't let you rest. Tonight, God invites you to do what they did, to whisper your heart to Him in the night. You don't need a cathedral. You don't need stained glass windows. Your bedroom, your living room, even your car parked on a quiet street can become holy ground when you invite His presence. There's something mysterious about prayer at night. It reorders your soul. It doesn't only calm you in the moment, it shapes the way you wake up. When you pray at night, you're telling your subconscious, God is in control. That's why so many people who pray before bed find that their dreams change. Their mornings feel lighter, their minds more clear. Because prayer is not just information, it's transformation. It renews you in ways you cannot see. Let me give you a simple practice. Tonight before you sleep, read aloud Psalm 23. Don't rush through it. Linger on every phrase. The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. Let those words sink in. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. Picture yourself lying down, not in stress, but in peace. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Hear that in your spirit. Say it aloud. Let it echo in your room. That psalm has carried generations of believers through nights darker than yours. It will carry you too. And if you ever feel like your prayer is weak, remember this prayer is not powerful because of your words, but because of the one who hears them. A whisper to God carries more weight than a scream into the void. A single sentence, Lord be near, has the power to calm your storm. The strength of prayer doesn't come from you. It comes from Him. That's why you can pray with confidence, even when you feel small. So tonight, when the lights are off and the silence surrounds you, dare to believe that you are not alone. Dare to pray, not because you have the strength, but because you need it. And the God who never sleeps, the one who neither slumbers nor grows weary, will meet you in that prayer. There's a reason night prayer feels different. Because every day you carry burdens you don't even realize, and by the time evening comes, your soul is weary. If you don't lay those burdens down before God, you carry them into your sleep, and they shape your dreams, your rest, even your tomorrow. But when you release them in prayer, when you whisper, Lord, I give you this day, something shifts. You are no longer defined by what happened, by what was said, or by what didn't work out. You are defined by the one who holds you in the night. Remember Elijah the prophet, who faced exhaustion after a great victory. He called down fire from heaven, but then he collapsed under the weight of fear and despair. He ran into the wilderness, lay under a broom tree, and prayed, "Lord, take my life." He was done. But God didn't scold him. God let him rest. Then an angel touched him and said, "Get up and eat." Bread baked on hot coals, water waiting beside him. In that quiet night moment, Elijah discovered a truth you need to hold on to. God cares about your soul, but He also cares about your body. He knows you need rest. He knows you need strength. And when you pray before bed, you're not just seeking spiritual renewal, you're opening yourself to the God who restores your whole being. Think of how Jesus invited people. "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." He didn't say He would give you answers to every question or solutions to every problem. He said He would give you rest. That's the gift of night prayer. It doesn't mean tomorrow will be easy. It means tomorrow you will not walk alone. Tonight, when you kneel, when you fold your hands, or when you simply lie back and close your eyes, let your heart speak honestly. Tell God what you fear. Tell Him what you regret. Tell Him what you desire. And then leave it there. Don't pick it back up. Don't clutch it like it depends on you. Leave it in His hands. That's what faith looks like at night. Not fireworks, not grand gestures, but trust. The trust that says, "God, I'll close my eyes because I believe You're keeping watch. And here is something beautiful. While you sleep, God works." Psalm 121 says, "He who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep." While your eyes close, His are wide open. While your body rests, His Spirit moves. You may wake up tomorrow and realize the problem you handed Him last night feels lighter. You may realize your perspective has shifted, that your strength has returned, that your heart feels new. Because the God who watches the sparrow also watches over you. So let this night be different. Don't just collapse into bed with the noise of the world still echoing in your head. Don't just scroll until sleep takes you by accident. Make space. Light a candle, if you want. Whisper a psalm. Sing a hymn softly. Write down your fears and close the notebook. Invite God into the silence, and then rest. Truly rest. Because you are not alone in the dark. And if this prayer, this journey tonight has touched your heart, I want to invite you to take one more step. Don't keep it to yourself. Share this with someone you know who struggles to sleep at night, someone carrying burdens they don't talk about. Subscribe not just to follow content, but to join a community of people learning how to rest in God together. And reflect before you close your eyes. Ask yourself, what do I need to lay down tonight? What can I release so I don't carry it into tomorrow? This is not just a video. It's an invitation to stop wrestling alone and start resting in His presence. So tonight, may your prayer be honest, may your rest be deep, and may you wake up knowing that the God who held you in the night is the same God who will guide you in the morning. Sleep in peace, for you are loved, you are watched over, and you are never alone.